going live. Yeah, hey everyone. Good morning. Not a morning hullabaloo for the old man here. Look at all this. I'm letting my hair grow out, and all the white hair is just like dominating my face. So I look older than I am. Actually, I'm not a young man, so I probably look exactly what I'm supposed to look like. But anyway, you guys, hope everyone's doing well out there. Hope the week has been good for you so far. We're over the hump, so we're heading towards the weekend, which is good. Most people have the weekends off. I don't know what that would be like. I'm sure my guest Russ doesn't know what weekends are like either. When you work the life, or when you have the life of a freelance, you pretty much work 24/7. So yeah, we're gonna do a hacks chat, you guys. We haven't done this in a while. I got my good buddy Russ Leach out here, and he is a phenomenal talent. And if you guys haven't heard of this gentleman, you will soon, and you will fall in love with his work, and you will back his project because it is that damn good. He doesn't even need to open his mouth. All he needs to do is show you his artwork, and you guys are going to be throwing money at him. So anyway, just like always, like all my shows, very interactive. Feel free to ask questions. We got Leg Kick in the house. Thanks for the early sign of life. I do appreciate it. Good morning to you. We got Crazy Cat. He is a crazy cat indeed. Hey, Art. So you guys, yeah, keep it coming. And without further ado, let's get Russ in here and start showing off some of his wonderful artwork and his new campaign. So add to the stage. I clicked the right button, so there you are.
Thank you. What an introduction. Thank you. High praise from the man himself. So
yeah, sometimes it just comes. Sometimes, you know what? The thing is, when there's real talent, you don't have to work too hard, right? Yeah. It just kind of, it's there. So I've been a fan of your stuff for a while. You and I have crossed paths before creatively. Yeah. I don't know if you know this, Russ, but you did some breakdowns in black and white, Man versus Machine, and right. They were absolutely phenomenal. And I am forever indebted to you.
That was a great gig. Thank you for having me on. Thank you. That was a great gig. I really enjoyed it. And I got to be part of something very, very, very special.
Yeah, I think the book looks fantastic, and it's weird. You throw these like little thumbnails together, these layouts, and then you never know how they're going to be interpreted. No. And you always elevated every one of my little scribbles, so I do appreciate it. And it's hard. These characters, you know, the costumes are a little bit. There's a lot of detail. Yeah, and you freaking nailed it, man.
Well, it's obviously because they're layouts. It's just me trying to get the basics in, so that obviously you do your magic afterwards, you know. But yeah, it's hard work, but it definitely a worthwhile project. Really enjoyed that. Thank you.
Yeah, it was fantastic, and you do a lot of it's mainstream, but it's not exactly like Marvel DC, right? Because I see a lot of like cartoon style, like DC character stuff, things like that. So explain some of that, because people would probably know you from there. Like, well, let me just say it this way: what would people know you like the best? Like, if you had to have like one piece of your work, like one moment to kind of define you and that people would know you from, what would that be? And don't say black and
white. My problem is, and this has been going on for quite some time, is that I'm pretty anonymous. People don't know me. They don't know me. They might know my work. They don't know my name. So I worked on a book for Marvel and Panini 10 years ago, nearly now, which was a 5-year project called Draw the Marvel Way. And I did a whole bunch of licensed characters for that, and lessons, you know, editorials and what have you. But at the same time, I was also working on Doctor Who. And since then, I've also managed to get onto Doctor Who magazine, which I always wanted to do since I was a kid. Unfortunately, it wasn't the Doctor that I wanted to do. But I got the gig and I went and did it and did the best I could and enjoyed the artwork. I've worked with Ben 10. I also did a gig for DC and Panini for a Batman run in the Europe and the UK, and that went to like 5 different countries. Um, some other bits and pieces here and there. But most of the time, people haven't got a clue who I am, but they'll recognise my artwork. So it really enjoyed the Batman run. I got to draw Batman. So you can't really, as a comic book artist, most people come up with that. It's like, oh, I want to draw
Yeah, I'm
Spider
trying to
Man,
remember.
Superman,
Was it kind
Batman.
of in the animated style, the
It
Batman?
Yeah, I mean, originally I was asked to do some designs that kind of were somewhere between Ben 10 and the original Batman animated series, which I did, which I was really pleased with, and they bottled out and ended up saying, no, just do a more standard style. So I did a kind of a Bronze Agey kind of style for it. And the last 2 issues I coloured myself with like a painted cell shading kind of style,
Sweet.
which I
Yeah.
was quite pleased with. And that worked out really well. So I got my go. I got my shot at doing something that I'd always wanted to do since I was a kid.
Well,
Um,
Batman's my jam, so like that's pretty cool to land a Batman gig in my book.
yeah,
Crazy Cat says he's really worried. He needs to know this thing before he
right.
moves on. First question: what is his accent? Where is this man from?
uh, yeah, well, English. Yeah, that would be English, not British. English.
English. Yeah.
But there's a lot of mix there. My family's spread out across a lot of regions, so there's lots of silly accents in there.
Yeah, I don't think any of us are pure blood.
No, no such thing.
I don't think so either. Yeah, it's probably good because I think like pure blood, don't you have all kinds of health issues and stuff like that if you're
Yeah, it's like you don't want to be. You want to be Heinz 57. That's what you
yeah,
want. Lots of mix.
not the inbred kind of
No,
stuff.
there you go. I'll just show you the Batman. One of the Batman
Oh
covers. I think
yeah,
this is
here
the
we
last
go.
printed Batman cover I did. So that was a Mr. Freeze story. So
Oh
as you can
my
see,
God.
it's not current day DC. It's got
Right.
a little bit of whimsy to it. It's more sort of it was aimed at a kids market as well. So
Yeah.
it's got that kind of feel. So I went for that kind of 70s 80s kind of feel for the artwork, which suited me nicely because I like that kind of thing. And they just let me go on it. So that's what I did. And ended up having a bit of fun with it. So
This is fantastic. Look at that. It's kind of like too with the Batman cowl, you gave him kind of the back of his head and the neck. You know what I
mm,
mean? Like Batman for like it's kind of like old Superman. He doesn't really have a defined neck in the back. You know what I
yeah,
mean? It
yeah,
kind of
yeah,
goes from the back of his head all the way down to his shoulders,
yeah.
almost a straight line. And I do remember when I got to draw Batman for the first time, I was like, yeah. And so I drew that neck. So was this like your call, or did they kind of have like a style guide that they wanted you to work
I
with
had a
that
style
defined?
guide.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I had a style guide. I didn't have a style guide as in my drawing style, but I had specific things that I had to hit as far as the design was concerned and stuff. I mean, I'd love to have put black trunks on him, and had a big, massive utility belt and gone all out. But this wasn't a spandex Batman. I had to go with what they were marketing at the time. So,
Right, right. It looks
but
fantastic. The
it was
color
good
work
fun.
is great too.
Thank you. I really enjoyed it. So yeah, it was a good gig. Good gig.
Yeah, well, so explain how, because it's starting to come back to me, because I know you explained this to me before, but so you don't work like directly for DC or Marvel. There's kind of like a European publisher that's a
Yeah.
go-between, right? So like they buying the rights from like Warner Brothers and Disney, and then they have the rights to publish their own
Yeah.
version.
Yeah. So I mean, there's been lots of rumors going around for a few years now that Disney and Marvel Marvel and DC will like just start putting their publishing out to other publishers. And sometimes people think it's a real thing. Sometimes it's an argument that will go on. But Panini have actually been doing that for an awful long time. They got when Marvel UK went bankrupt, Panini got the rights to distribute the exclusive rights to distribute in Europe. They're a football card producer, so they have loads of money because they work with the World Cup and with all the Premier Leagues across Europe.
And
So they're absolutely
you don't throw it, you kick it.
soccer. Sorry, soccer leagues. But there's a lot of money.
Okay.
There's a lot of money in it.
It's
but
big
they
in
also
Europe,
but they also do a lot of other publishing. So for instance, I did Ben 10. So when Ben 10 the reboot came out, they had the series on the TV, and they did a 13-month series of magazines, and I did the strips for the magazine, and that was done in conjunction with Warner Brothers. So DC and Panini had an agreement where they were repurposing Batman stuff, and they did a Batman magazine for a while, and they asked me to do it. The same with like I say, Marvel UK went bust 90 something, and Panini took on. It might have been earlier than that actually. Panini took on the it was in the 80s. Panini took on the publishing rights for that, and then they were actually generating original Marvel content for Spider-Man, Avengers, the Hulk, right up until Disney bought Marvel, and then Disney put a block on it. And then Panini could only reuse what had already been created in the States.
Well, it's interesting because people talk like, because, comics are like having a hard time right now. And what is DC and Marvel going to do? And then there's always like the speculation, like, well, they'll just license the stuff out. And then there are people like, oh, they can't do that. It's like, but they have done it.
They already do it. Yeah. They already do it. Yeah.
What are you talking about? Like,
I was surprised that I'm surprised it doesn't happen more, to be honest. I'm surprised that Disney just didn't, get on and with the business of doing that straight away when they bought Marvel, because Disney have never produced their own comics, as far as I'm aware. Exactly. They always, put it out. So maybe it's because Marvel was so recognizable. I don't know.
Yeah, it was some time ago, and it was probably early mid 90s, and Disney, because like books were selling. I mean, there was, these comics were selling millions of copies, things like that. So I remember Disney actually made an effort that they were going to publish their own books, like a superhero line of books. They weren't, because they didn't own Marvel at the time. So they were talking with a lot of freelance talent and stuff. And I remember that Marv Wolfman and maybe Lynn Wein, for some reason, those two are always connected in my mind. And Marv had a office in the Disney animation lot.
Wow.
And he called me over there and was kind of trying to woo me to do a book. And so I believe these were creator owned, but I'm sure that they would be, I mean, not creator owned. I'm sure Disney would own them somehow, but they wanted people to create these things for them. And I got the first class, woo treatment. So, got the free lunch and all that other good stuff.
Nice.
And it sounded legit. And there was, I think there was a Travis Charest drawing or something like that. So they had some commissioned artwork, but to be honest, I don't remember who was creating stuff. If they were just trying to do like an image type of imprint, where they got people over so they could create their own IP, and then this Disney imprint would just publish them, or what. But yeah, this stuff has been played with, and these ideas, and even what was like Marvel Knights, if you think about that, was like Marvel seed, if they could get, some people to together to publish things. Even Heroes Reborn, remember that was Image, and Marvel came to some of the Image creators like Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld and stuff to kind of handle their books. And I don't think any of these things really worked, or
No.
they did. I don't know why they didn't continue with them, but they
Yeah.
didn't seem to have any real longevity to them.
No.
But while this was all going on, they were licensing out to Panini,
Mm.
and you guys were putting out your own, DC and Marvel branded
Certainly
book.
Marvel. Certainly there was Marvel stuff, and it was original work as well. I mean, we had original written work. It wasn't just the art. It was a complete other set of original stuff.
So were you
And it
guys,
sold well
were they,
as well.
wait, hold on. I wanted to ask you this earlier. I'm sorry. Um, are they taking, or were they taking, like say the Amazing Spider-Man, were they taking those books and then just like reprinting them in different languages as well?
They are now. Before
Okay.
2012, the Amazing Spider-Man magazine over here had original content generated by the Panini offices.
Okay. But
So
were they licensing or just reprinting like US Marvel
no,
stories?
no, they were before they were doing reprints as well. So they were reprinting stuff that had already been done and setting it out as trade paperbacks. But the original magazines that they were producing were all newly generated stuff in the UK.
Okay.
And then that stopped in 2012 when Disney bought Marvel and said, no more, you can't do that anymore.
Okay. So they were just kind of all across the board. They were
Yeah,
reprinting the US stuff, and then they were
yeah,
creating new stuff as well. And when
yeah,
you say magazine here, like I always think of like a magazine size, because like in the States,
yeah.
we have a magazine, but sometimes they call comic books, like magazines too. So when you say magazine, are you talking about kind of like oversized or like comic book sized
Yeah,
books?
oversized. So they do reprints in trade paperback, which was standard comic book size, US comic book size, and then the original stuff they put into magazines, and they'd focus it on the kids market. So in the magazine, you'd have 10, 15 pages a strip, but you'd also have games, quizzes, editorial, other bits and pieces in there as well. Often there'd be a toy on the front. That's kind of the way, unfortunately, that's kind of the way the British market has gone, because all the creative stuff, it's very difficult to get any investment in that kind of stuff over here now. So it's
Right.
mostly a magazine market,
Well,
in in
Marvel did
shops.
that for a while. I'm sorry again. Marvel did that for a while, where they were doing magazine, because they were reprinting the Ultimate stuff when I was working on
Mm,
the Ultimates. So I think there'd be two stories in it, but it would be a magazine size. And I think the reason they did that is because they could get on the magazine racks. Like
yes,
comic books, they don't
yeah,
really carry, but the oversized books. Like supermarkets and things like that
hmm,
here would
yep.
carry the magazines. So is that the same kind of idea?
Exactly the same. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly the same. Yeah, because there aren't that many comic book shops in the UK. I mean, there are a few, but it's not. Then there's not that many that it limits the market. So what Panini would look at is they'd think, well, if it's a kids market, if we're going to go for, because for a long time there, and I don't know if this is still the case, but certainly sort of between 5 and 10 years ago, the growth market in publishing was kids magazines, and that's where Panini were focusing, and where a lot of publishers were focusing their their publishing endeavors. So that would be where you'd sell magazines, sell kids magazines is in the supermarkets, like Walmart, the equivalent of what we have over here for Walmart. And
So is
mm,
that why was all of it kind of more aimed towards a youth market, like as far
yeah.
as like subject matter and things like
Yes,
that? So more
yeah,
of
and
all ages stuff.
yeah, I'd actually argue that the some of the drop off in the market in the UK is down to the fact that the stuff that's getting printed, that is now reprinted in the magazines rather than the trade paperbacks, but the stuff that's getting printed in the magazines is not focused in the right way. The thing that Panini had was they had writers who really understood the market and wrote for the market, and it was successful. But as soon as they were taken off the job, and Disney said, right, no more, we're going to feed you what you can print, then the numbers started to come down.
Yeah. Oh, there's always somebody that thinks they know better.
Yeah,
And the thing is, it's so interesting because, on pontificators and, in the circles, the circles we run comic books, everybody, yeah, well, not everybody, but the more business savvy ones talk about, well, how could we save the industry? How could we fix it? Whatever. And so, I've said for years, like, just make an all ages comic and make it accessible. Like, it's
yeah,
it's not really it's not really rocket science. And
no,
it sounds like Panini kind of had the market, and
they
they
did.
understood
Yeah,
the
yeah,
clientele, and so they were manufacturing comics for that. And
yeah.
I do think that could still work.
Hmm.
Um, but for some reason the industry here in the States just chooses not to do anything successful or
They
even
they
attempt it.
yeah, they insist on making content that isn't for kids. I wonder why the only people buying it are over the age of 35, and then insist on telling the people that do buy it that they're horrible and they don't really want them anymore. It's a terrible circular. It's a doom loop, and
Yeah,
it's not good. The only way to sort this out is to, like you say, you should have all ages stuff, and you should change the price point. Get back to small books. Get back to newsprint if that were possible, because I know that printers have changed because of the technologies. But making cheap books
well,
for the industry in general, not for
right,
crowdfunding, because I think that's a different market,
right,
but for
exactly.
the industry in general, cheap books. Like
Well, they were always designed for mass consumption. They were disposable,
Mhm.
and they needed a lower price point because that's what they are, and they always were considered. They were never
Yeah.
considered high art or something that should be cherished. That came later with collectors and
Mm.
stuff like that. But the thing is, they could bring the price down if they started selling more books too. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah, that would help.
you don't have to necessarily cheapen the book,
Yeah.
although, sometimes newsprint isn't exactly cheaper than, like some
Not
of the other
now. No. No,
now.
it isn't now. No, no, that's why I
But
was
I
saying
don't
the
think it's
text
yeah, I
changed.
don't think it's like old newsprint like when we grew up. Like,
Mm.
that shit was newsprint, man. I mean, it was some harsh paper, boy. And even within a couple of years, that stuff would yellow and everything. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so I don't
yeah.
even think like what they call newsprint today is like traditional newsprint. But
No,
anyway,
no.
yeah, like, I think it's all those things. It's like accessibility, price
Mm.
point, and then the subject matter. So, but the thing is, the thing it used to bug me about this industry, Russ, is that usually the markets would blame the creators for not selling the book,
Mm.
right? They'd go, "Oh, this storyline, or this, the way you drew this, or whatever," and they would blame the creators. And I was always like, no, it's not. It's not our job to sell the book. Like, it's,
No,
if you
no,
don't like the
yeah.
story or whatever, that's fine. You bought the book, you get your point of view. But the thing is, we don't sell the book. So if the book doesn't sell, it doesn't always come down to subject matter or the
No,
art. It
no.
can be a factor, but the thing is, if it's a compelling story and you can get it to the masses at a good price point, well, guess what? You have success,
Exactly,
Uh,
exactly. At one point, the like Marvel and DC didn't have to do much marketing because there was this sweet spot, sort of like 80s through to the 90s, where it generated its own market. It was like it was just constantly turning over and turning over and turning over, and they just decided to stop advertising. I think because they thought it would always happen. And
well,
if you
here
don't
here
think
the
people know the
advertising
product's there, they can't buy it, can they?
yeah. Here the advertising was just the sheer existence of the product, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
so you had the spinner racks, and they were pretty much everywhere. We had 7-Elevens, and so they had the racks there too. And so the advertising was just in its existence. So the one thing I think the industry overlooked that aspect of it, and
Mm,
like you said, then they start thinking, well, it's just going to kind of sell itself. Well, based on an old business model, which was you
exactly.
had a
Yeah.
book that was in a store, and in
Yeah.
essence, it was the product, but it was also the advertisement for the
Yes.
product.
Yeah.
Just by
Yeah.
its existence and visibility was advertising the product. So once they
Yeah.
took that out, well, then guess what? The advertising aspect of the industry just went away. You know what I mean? Like,
Visibility was everything because I mean we obviously it's the like newsprint storefront, the books out everywhere the way it used to be before we had comic shops. um that isn't viable anymore. It's not the same place. But unfortunately, before we had comic book shops and comics were, like you say, on spinner racks and what have you in shops, it meant it had visibility. And it's all very well saying, "Oh, we're going to market to kids," but if kids don't know the comics are there, then they don't think they exist. It's about
I say that all
visibility,
the
all of it.
time. I say that all the time. Like kids, it's not just that like Spider-Man or comic books. It's like they don't know what that even is.
No,
Like,
no,
like kids, they don't know what a comic book is.
no.
Like, and that's crazy to think about because to our way of thinking, it's like that is our existence. You know what I mean? Like every day is like, oh yeah, comics are real, comics exist. But there are kids that don't know that, and they might know Spider-Man, Captain America, Batman, but they know them because of the films and the
Yes,
cartoons
yeah,
and stuff like that, but they
yeah.
don't know them from the comic books.
No,
you
I
know
don't know there's many young people that do know them from the comic books anymore.
right,
There's a few intrepid individuals that seem to love it, but most kids are just it's because they're focused into a screen all the time. It's not just that games and phones and what have you are more interesting than comics. That's not the case. What they are is that they're more there, they're more present,
accessible,
they're
yes.
more
I,
accessible. That's
I
what is in
completely
front of
agree
their
with you.
faces. Yeah.
Yeah, I have this argument all the time. It's like, like I remember talking to Dan Jurgens, and he's like, "Well, you can't compete against, video games and all this other stuff." I'm like, comic books have always been competing against all this stuff. Like it's always existed. Radio,
Mm,
TV, movies,
yeah.
and now video games. Like there's cartoons, Hanna-Barbera. Like there's always been this
Yeah.
competition. So I don't
Yeah.
even understand that argument.
No.
Listen, Dan Jurgens, you're a smart guy. I respect the hell out of you, but that is a lame ass argument.
It's a lazy argument. It's an argument for not marketing because, well, there's no point.
Right,
Like, get out there and do it. Make it cool again. There's all kinds of things you can make cool. Get a good marketing person on it. If they spent half the time, advertising or marketing comics the way that they try to market so many other products, films, all kinds of dire entertainment, that maybe they get somewhere with it. But the problem is, and this is something I've banged on about for years, is that back in the day, I mean, Marvel have always been an evil corporation. It's just the way corporations are. They're all evil. Okay. They're there
right,
just to make money. All right. But their business was comics. Marvel's business used to be comics. They sold the occasional, lunchbox or whatever on the side. It was comics. And
right,
because of that, they sold hundreds and hundreds of thousands of them. And that meant that everybody from the top to the bottom of the business was interested in creating great comics. Okay. But now the business is not interested in creating great comics. Okay. It's interested in films and lunchboxes and stuff and IP and being this, that, and the other to everybody else. Okay. But they're not interested in making great comics, which means you
right,
get a few creatives in the middle who are trying their best. But the vast majority are either on their way through to another industry or they're executives, bean counters, and they don't give a monkeys about the comics at all. And that's why you're seeing this drop off in quality. You're getting all kinds of ideologies turning up in comics, all kinds of rubbish being done, and seeing very few really good comics out there anymore. That's my
right. Well,
personal view.
let's
Just
get
no
into some
incentive.
Yeah, let's get into some good comics here. I believe, yes, there it is. This is it right here. This site uses cookies, it says, so I had to agree to their terms.
Oh right, okay, sorry.
I hope it's worth it.
don't don't all sites use cookies? I don't know. It's
I
funny
don't.
that whole warning about cookies. When I was coding, I used to code for a living, and you use cookies all the time. They were just there. It's just at some
Yeah, they're
point somebody
delicious.
decided that everybody needed to know what a cookie was.
Yeah, they're delicious. I love like chocolate
Yeah,
chip with some milk. Okay, you have to say this, and after you say this, I'll be able to say it. The Atlantean.
the
Is that
Atlantean,
the
as in
Atlantean?
Atlantis. The
Okay.
Atlantean. Yeah,
Okay, so this is the 50 pages of Robert E. Howard's premier sword and sorcery characters in a regular magazine format in the
that's right.
legendary style of Savage Sword. So
Yeah.
I remember talking to you before. You can't call this character Conan, right?
Cull. It's
It's Cole. Oh, that's right.
Cull.
Okay, it's
It's
Cole.
a Cull the Conqueror. Got lots of Cull. You can't. Cull is trademarked. The name Cull is trademarked, so you can't put it on the front of the book. But you can write stories about Cull because this Cull is from the Shadow Kingdom, which is the book we had out. And that is in public domain. There are 3 stories by Robert E. Howard about Cull that are in complete public domain globally. And we did the first one, which is the Shadow Kingdom. And that's effectively the first ever, it's recognized as the first proper sword and sorcery book story. And we lovingly adapted that to a graphic novel. Um, and we love the character so much that we wanted to take him and the guy that he's with, Brawl, 2 warriors. And at the end of the book, I don't want to give too much away. You go buy the book. At the end of the book, it's kind of like there's a proper story. It's all the way through. It's not like a cliffhanger ending or anything like that. But it effectively sets you up in the world of the Thurian age, which is 3,000 years before Conan's Hyborian age. And it's when Atlantis is still there because Cull is an Atlantean. And he discovers within the Shadow Kingdom about the Shadow Kingdom, which is this kingdom of shape-shifting lizard people that effectively command the affairs of men. So he makes a solemn vow with Brawl after this story to go out and look for the shadow kingdom, the kingdom of serpents. And we decided that we wanted, Robert E. Howard didn't actually cover that, and we decided we were going to make our own version of that. And it's episodic. We're trying to do 3 a year, and the idea is that it's kind of like, I don't know, the old Planet of the Apes series or Logan's Run or whatever. They've got this big arc that they're trying to find the Serpent Kingdom, but they get into scrapes and adventures along the way, and effectively it's tits and dragons. It's fun. It's fun. Robert E. Howard adaptation of the character. We're true to the character, but we want to create new stories for them. So he's basically running around in the Thurian age having fun.
Yeah, I'll tell you right now, Russ, when I was maybe 16, 17, 18, my life was not superheroes. It was all sword and sorcery. It was Savage Swords books. It was the John Buscema
Stuff like
stuff.
this.
It was all of that.
This
And
has
I'll
been
tell
bred
you,
to death. Look.
yeah, I was obsessed. I was obsessed. So everything, like I wrote stories and drew characters
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I had this character. His name was the Nocturnal Knight. So he was a knight by night. So he was
Cool.
he was half like a human king and half demon. So he had these demon wings, and so I thought it was cool. You have somebody with this big axe or a mace, flying out of the sky coming at you, and kind of Hawkman ish. And
Excellent.
yeah, I absolutely ate, drank, and slept this stuff. And I'll tell you, I kind of burnt myself out.
Yeah.
I I still love it, but man, I don't. I'm not to the extent that I was when I was that age. Maybe it was the age thing,
Yeah,
but
well, there's plenty of testosterone in that kind of stuff. Yeah.
yeah, I absolutely loved it, man. And so this art, look at this. This artwork is fantastic. Yeah. So this is
So
the Cole character, you guys. I
yeah,
do believe Marvel put out a series of Cole books.
they
I
did.
always thought Cole was the same time period, though. I didn't know he
No,
was before Conan.
it's effectively uh, Conan is related to Cole. He's a descendant. So is Solomon Kane, apparently.
Are you
But
serious? I didn't know
yeah,
Solomon Kane was.
Solomon Kane is that there is a lineage. There is supposed to be a lineage between them all.
So
Um,
Solomon Kane is the more contemporary character of the three,
yeah,
right?
yeah, he's
Oh,
like sort of 1800s around there. I don't know a lot about Solomon Kane, I'm afraid.
right, right. I know
I've
I
only read a
read
couple
all
of stories.
this stuff, but I don't really
Mm.
remember it very well. I
It's
do
quite
remember that.
lengthy.
Yeah, yeah. And I do remember reading some of the Robert E. Howard novels themselves. Just great stuff.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah.
it's solid material. All of it is. So yeah, Cull is 2 to 3 thousand years, I think, before Conan, and he is from Atlantis, and this is before Atlantis sank. It's set during the end of the Thurian Age, and at the end of the Thurian Age, Atlantis sinks, and there's a catastrophe, and then the Hyborian Age comes afterwards.
It's amazing how thousands of years between Cole and Conan didn't really, there was no real new technology or or anything. They were
Well,
just as brutal
that's
as.
because of the catastrophe. It's because everything just went back to cavemen and then came back again.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
they do
yeah,
explain that in this. Okay.
yeah. So that's it's a massive geological shift, and that's where Atlantis goes down, and so it's all a bit of a mess for a while.
Okay. So Conan's kind of reinventing like civilization again. Is that kind of it?
Conan is a Chimerian, so Sumerian. That's it. It's CK Sumerian, um, and I think they're hill people, but they have this Atlantean lineage. Um, and Conan he's a rogue. That's what he is. He's Conan's about Conan. He has a moral code. He doesn't go around slaughtering people for the hell of it. But don't cross him. He's in it for Conan. Kull is a more considered character. He is a king already in the book, and he's concerned about his people. He's concerned about the land, and he's concerned about this serpent race that are effectively, in charge of everything that nobody knows about. And he's just more considered in what he does. However, he has more extremes. So when he does lose it, he really loses it, and is capable of giant feats. So yeah, he's a very interesting character, and
Yeah, I was gonna say
his
I always
friend
thought.
Gruul is great as well.
Yeah, I always thought of Cole as the king. So later, Conan becomes a king. Is
Yeah,
it lineage wise, or does he just conquer?
I think he
And
just
that's
conquers the land. I think that's
okay.
what comes. I think that's how Conan gets there. Yeah,
So it kind of comes full circle. These horses are beautiful. Look at
thanks.
that.
Yeah,
Wow.
horses are a bitch to draw.
Yeah, they are.
They're awful to draw, but get yourself some reference, and eventually.
Yeah, but to put them in action, because usually they're kind of the reference you can find, they're just kind of stock,
Yeah,
people riding the horses
it's
or something.
stiff.
Never
Yeah,
action kind of things.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I got some anatomical stuff as well, so that I knew where the muscles were and studied it. Not studied it, but took a deep dive into seeing how a horse operated. So I was getting some reference and photo reference, and then also drawing my own horses. So most of these horses are actually out of my head, rather than just looking specifically at photo reference.
Yeah, once you understand the
Yeah.
structures and stuff, you can kind of do that. But I couldn't have done it out of my head this good. Look at that. That's pretty fantastic. And yeah, there's a lot of movement, like horses, like filmed and stuff like that. And it's there's always three hooves in the air and one on the ground. Is that how
It's
it
supposed to
is?
be, but we're in comic land, so what looks good. At the end
Yeah,
of the day,
yeah.
it's that rule. It's like, does it look cool? And that's what you
It
try
looks
and
like
do.
that's what you did here. It looks like there's one leg planted and the three are in the air.
Yeah, it is. It is, but it might be more by accident. Oh.
Oh, there you go.
We
There's
got,
the
yeah. This
the
is the
pup.
Dragon's Breath Inn, which is where the story starts. So
Ah, the good old days.
yeah. Get in the first issue, you get to understand why they're going, why they're doing what they're doing. You get a bar fight, you get a monster fight, and maybe you get a witch as well. So it's an adventure tale.
Oh, this is really really good.
We've got the front cover done by Marcio. Sorry, Marcio. Marcio. Sorry if I'm brutalizing your name, Marcio.
Is that this
Marcio
one?
Frere. Yeah, and we've got ink spots up for doing issue 2. So we're really pleased with how it's shaping up. And we also put like quite a low price point on it. It's 50 pages, but it's for $15. So the idea is readership. That's what we want to do. So we just want to get
And
out to as many people as possible.
these are magazine size, right?
Yes, they are. Yeah, they make
Wow.
A4 if you're from the UK, but yeah, magazine size.
And so they're going to be in this fantastic black and white, or are they going to be
Mm,
color
They'll be
pasted?
black and white. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So it really is like the Savage Sword
Yes. Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, with a little bit of like gray tone in there. This is fantastic.
Yeah. You can't see the grey tone quite as well there, but
Yeah, you can see it, the
yeah,
sky there,
yeah.
the smoke and things.
So you
Uh,
see, there's a piece of original art there.
just really, really good. So, how far along are you on the book? Knowing you,
I've
you're
got
done.
I've got a page and a half left to ink. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
the idea is that next time round, so issue 2 will probably go to crowdfunding March 1st because you've got that dead zone around Christmas, and that it'll be done. We will already be working on issue 3 by the time issue 2 goes to crowdfunding.
Okay. That's awesome. So the legendary tale here, original artwork. So you're selling. So you're doing all this on board.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Wow.
well, Bristol paper. What I do is I pencil digitally, so I kind of do like detailed layouts, and then I print them out to 11 by 17, whatever it is. I put them on a light box, and then I use 180 GSM Bristol paper, and I ink over on the light box, so you get an actual piece of art rather than a digital piece.
So you're doing the gray tones on the board as
Yeah, I'm
well.
doing the grey tones on the board as well. Yeah.
Awesome. I love that stuff. I had thought about doing a book like this, just pen and ink or brush and
Yeah.
ink with some wash in there
I've
and
been thinking about
for
it for a long
color.
time.
What's that?
I said I've been thinking about it for a long time.
You and me
I
both.
finally got to do it. So
Yeah. There are no toxic fans. Our readers are
there are not.
everything.
No.
That's awesome. Yeah, so let's go through the tiers. And so we got the main tier, the $15. This is the magazine size, 50-page black and white book, right?
That's right. Yeah. Just the other day, I've a guy called Glenn Fleming who I do a lot of work with. He's got a great character called Hatch, and it's comedy. It's whimsical. But we've got his strip at the back as well. It's just like a newspaper strip.
Oh,
So we'll have that in every issue as well. And I think it's called Hatch the Librarian. So a bit of comedy in the back there, plus some
But
editorial from Randy.
The Atlantean is 50 pages. So is that
Yeah,
in addition, or is that part of the 50?
that's part of the 50. Yeah, it's part
Oh,
of the
okay,
50.
okay.
It's like the old Savage Sword of Conan. So they effectively start on page 1, which is the cover, all the way through to the back, and they fill the whole thing up. And that's what we're attempting to do: fill the whole thing up every 4 months. So
Okay. So we got the 25, and this is 2 books.
2 books
So
for 25. Yeah,
you save, it says $10, but isn't that, oh yeah, it's 50
you save 5, and you save 5 on the
on each book.
you save 5
Yeah.
on one of the books, and you'll probably save 5 on your postage as well. So
Right, right. Wow, that is, man, this is, you guys got to get on this. This is cool. Yeah, do this tier and then just give one of the books to your friend.
yeah, give a book away at Christmas. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just yeah.
Yeah, so we got 35. So this is book plus signed print.
Yeah. So the cover is always going to be painted. But what I do is I draw up the cover and then give it to whoever's going to paint it. So the inside front cover is always my version of the cover, ink and wash, and that's what you get on the print.
Oh, I didn't know that. So that painted cover is based on your drawing.
My pencils, yeah. So the cover is my pencils and Marco's painting, and
I
then so on issue 2 it'll be my pencils and ink spots painting. So
Yeah, so this is a cool tier, you guys. So you can get the original drawing that inspired the cover and actually was used underneath the painting. And this is Russ's art, you guys. It's absolutely fantastic.
I'll
The dude nails the time period.
here you go.
And
I'll show you there. Just that's the piece.
this, oh,
Yeah,
uh, the other painted cover.
this is the print. Yeah, this is the print
Wait, what are you doing?
that I've just
Are you?
shared with you.
Oh, well, I got to come back then. Yeah.
That's,
Okay,
yeah,
hold
yeah,
on.
yeah, yeah.
Hold on. I don't know what you're doing half the time. The hell.
There you go. So
Oh,
that's the black and white print, and it's also on the inside front cover.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love your work. This is better than the painted cover. No, go back. You took it away from me. Let me see it again. I was drooling over it.
Oh, did I? Hold on.
Yeah, bring it back.
Bring it back.
By
Window.
popular demand.
There you go.
There it is.
There it is. So
Make it big. Oh, yeah.
rar. So you've got some werebears in there. Those are the monsters, and a big
Yeah, you
cave.
can see the gray tones more
Yeah,
in this.
yeah. There you go. Yeah. So I've
Yes.
what I did is I've changed the way that I've scanned it in, and it's bringing the grey tones in a lot better than it was. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
There's that's the
those
cover.
boobs are popping.
Boobs, gotta love boobs. It's a great cover. It's just
You know
Marcus
what? It
done
was weird
a
because I
wonderful
was
job.
like, why is she blonde here? I like her better with the dark hair. For some reason, like it seems like in Conan's world, in Robert E. Howardville, if you
Yeah,
were a blonde, it would have to be story
yeah,
motivated, right? Like you
yeah,
couldn't just have a blonde in the story. There would have to be a reason for the blonde. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Like she would be like some kind of sorceress or
Yeah,
sought
something.
after
Yeah, it'd always be
princess
evil
or
if she was
something.
blonde. Yeah.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
just, yeah. I just let Marco. I just gave him the pencils, so the pencils weren't in depth. So I just let him go with it. Whatever he wanted to paint was fine, as long as it
Right.
was the rough, for the pencils. But then I made her hair dark in the story, so it's just
Yeah.
it's,
Okay,
it's a
you
bit of
guys,
fun.
right here, Past Master's got a wrench, and he's gonna use it. So
I passed
back to
master.
Atlantean now on Fund My Comic. The book is heating up the airways and or the airwaves,
Oh, such trendy.
and it's doing really well. And it's Russ. Russ is God, how long have you been kind of CG and doing the CG books? Like it's weird. Like there's a bunch of guys that have always been here, but that you know what I mean. Like you don't think about like
Yeah, I
because
mean,
the
I've
location.
never I've never sort of said I am CG.
I am C.
But I am an independent comic book creator who believes that everybody should be my customer. Okay, and that's the end of it.
Right.
I don't get involved in, you know, people start giving me a hard time about, I mean, sometimes they give you a hard time about Fund My Comic and say, isn't that CG? And I'm like, well, so what if it is? It's like, it's about comics. It's about making comics, about entertaining people.
Yeah.
And you're right. I've actually been here for quite a while, doing this stuff. And it's about the communication between you and potential customer, potential reader, someone that you can actually connect with,
Right.
and everything else is just peripheral in my view. It's all just over there. I don't care. I like making comics. I'm making comics that I loved as a kid. The problem is that the mainstream media don't seem to love that stuff anymore.
Well, that's like
And we're
what
all
we're
in the
doing right
same
now.
gang as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah,
So
we're finding that audience. You know,
yeah, exactly.
we're
Yeah,
slowly winning people over. We're bringing them over here,
yeah.
and the bottom line is about doing good comic books and entertaining people. You know, at the end of the
Mm.
day, the thing is, like here, CG, it just to me it's freedom. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
got to take this. Can you entertain the
Yeah. Yeah. No
masses?
problem. We can talk. Let's have a look. Let's see what the chat is saying. I noticed one earlier on actually. Hey, there you go. Crazy Cats. Did English children really like American superhero comics? I thought they just all about Tintin and Dread and such. How did an English bloke get into American superheroes? Oh, right, okay. First comic book I remember having was Stalker, from DC. That was a long time ago, and I read the hell out of that, even though I was very very small. Um, and then really got into it in sort of mid 70s, late 70s when Marvel UK put together Captain Britain, which I absolutely loved, and it had reprints in it of John Buscema on Fantastic Four, and also Steranko on Agent of Shield, Nick Fury, Agent of Shield, and then later on all other kinds of stuff. And it led me into Spider Man and the Avengers and all that kind of stuff. So as much as I love 2000 AD, Judge Dredd, I wasn't really into things like Tintin or all the other English comics, Dan Dare and that. Not Dan Dare, Desperate Dan. He apparently used to eat cow pies, but I did like 2000 AD, and
Wait
I
a minute, is
loved.
a cow pie the same as it is here?
I don't know. It's very big and full of cow. I don't,
Oh, a cow pie
a
here is a piece of poop on a
piece
on the
of, but
road.
yeah. Cow pies can be manure as well. Yeah, but yeah.
I
So
got
I.
a treat. I got a treat for you, real quick. Just as an aside. All right,
Oh,
your
okay.
big John Buscema. I don't know if you can see these. These are actual John
Oh,
Buscema Conan
I can't
layouts.
see it.
They look kind of like scribbles,
Oh wow.
you can see this one. This is like Conan swinging
Ugh.
and whacking a guy. And here's yeah, I got a bunch of these.
Just make them out. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've been threatened with some pencil layouts actually.
Here's a Fantastic Four. You said John Buscema Fantastic Four. Like that's Reed Richards in the foreground. The one off behind him is She-Hulk. Actually, they're all there. There's Ben Grimm, Sue Storm, and Johnny.
Are you gonna frame them? Are you gonna put them up?
You know what I'm gonna do is I got them all out here. I'm going to let me get rid of my big old melon here. Is I'm gonna scan them and then do a show, and I'm just gonna show them off in
Oh, in
all their
high
glory.
res.
Yeah, because they're gorgeous, and a lot of people never really get to see this stuff. And I
Mm.
don't know about you, but I'm a big fan of all that behind the scenes
Oh,
stuff.
yeah. Love it. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I've got many books. I've got a great Buscema exhibition book. This one.
Ooh. Yeah.
That's lovely. And I've got one twice the size of that, this big, which is a John Buscema uh, folio book,
Is that
which
like
I
the 11 by 17 stuff where they get the original artwork
yeah,
and
yeah, like full size, yeah. And it's got a picture of the Vision on the front of it, from the Avengers. Like, can an android cry? I think that was the cover.
I
It's
gotta
got that.
brag. I gotta brag on myself. I actually have one with my work in it.
Oh, oh, look at that.
Let me see if I can find a page. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Here it is. It's the Jim Lee Artist Edition. And let me see. There's got to be. There's about a third of this book is my inking over Jim. Where are you? Where are you? Oh, here we go. I got a double page here.
All right, keep it still. See if we can get some focus on it.
But yeah, I think it's the lighting. The lighting just blasts everything out. So if it's white on white, it
Yeah.
just you can't really see it. But yeah, those books are fantastic, because they're about the original size, and
Yeah.
usually they're scans off the original pages, right? So you can see
Yeah.
editorial notes and all
I've
kinds
got
of
I've got two that
whiteout.
size. I've got a Buscema book and I've got a Brian Bolland book, and both of them are just they're just gorgeous. Just
Bolin was one of those guys that it was just quality. Like
mm,
when you saw his name, you knew like quality. And I think I heard you when I was on the phone with my wife talking about that. Were you a big what was it called? AD? What was his
2000 AD. Yeah,
2000 AD
2000
fan?
AD. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
And
great.
Bolin would we used to I think they reprinted like we had the opposite. I think it was Eagle Comics or something.
Yeah,
I don't
Bad
know if
Eagle.
also that was a
Yeah,
European publisher.
yeah. So Eagle Comics came out in the 50s, I think. I actually, from my late father-in-law, I got a collection of the first 100 copies of the Eagle
Oh,
from the 50s. So I was beside myself when I got that.
but that was the
Um,
publishing company too, right? It was called
I think
Eagle.
it might have been, yeah. And then Eagle was brought back in 2000 AD, sucked up the competition constantly.
Okay.
So another comic would come out and it would flounder, and 2000 AD would suck it up, and it'd be 2000 AD and Eagle. So the Eagle came out again in the 80s, and 2000 AD sucked that up. They also sucked up Star Lord. I think they sucked up, was it Warlord or Warrior, something like that.
I
So it
don't
was
think it was
several
Warlord.
books.
Warlord was the DC, but maybe it was Warrior. I think it was Warrior. But yeah, so we used to get those. So maybe it was the opposite of how you get the Marvel books through
Mm,
Panini. But I think it was Eagle. Maybe somebody in the chat knows like that was here in the States. But I think they were Eagle was the publisher, and they published the 2000 AD books, and so we would
right.
get those, and so the Dread books and all that, and I liked all the Dread stories, but when Bolin would do one, it was like it was head and shoulders above the other
His work,
stories.
his work is just phenomenal. It's amazing. It's something that I speak to people about artists' work, and there's something that that is the same in all of the great artists. And a lot of people miss it because they see all the lines and they think, oh, there's loads and loads and loads of lines on here. And it isn't. It's an economy of line. They only put down what they need. Now, somebody might draw more detail than somebody else, but they only put down what they need to create the effect that they want. And it's that economy of line that makes geniuses like Bolland stand out, because you wouldn't wait economy of line with Bolland, surely it's really detailed. But if you look at his artwork, you can see that every line is placed just right, and that's what makes him so fantastic.
And the thing is, he's one of those guys that he did. I call it more like traditional, like pullouts, like the hatching and stuff, like the thin to
Mm.
thick. kind of brush stuff, but he never looked dated. Like it
No,
looked contemporary. And
always.
like
Yeah.
as a comic book artist, I rejected that stuff. Like the old kind of like yeah, like I don't know anything like like around the 70s, like all that kind of brushy kind of pull out stuff. I appreciate it now, and I
Yeah.
loved it when I was a kid. But as an artist, I always was like, yeah, that stuff looks kind of hokey and it looks a little unsophisticated,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
even
Yeah.
though, like, it wasn't necessarily that, but that's the way I felt. But then you got somebody like Boland who was using the same principles. They were all the
Yeah.
same ideas, but
Yeah.
for some reason, it looked way more like defined. It looked more contemporary. It looked
Yeah.
cooler, for the lack of a better
Yeah.
word. Like the line just looked really, really cool. And I love looking at the Dread stuff because you look at it and you think like it's really tight, like those lines, like
Yeah.
it's really clean. But when you look at it, because I'm pretty sure he was using a brush on that,
He was.
you can see the texture of the paper. You can see the line kind of
Yeah.
break up. You know what I mean? Like it's not like a
Yeah.
crisp, perfect line.
Yeah.
And I love that stuff, because
Yeah.
like on Dread, it really worked because that little bit of like maybe it was just the ink or the brush or the paper that he was using at the time, but just that little tooth gave it like a little edge. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't really
Yeah.
polished and pretty, even
Yeah.
though I don't know. It's weird to try to describe it. It was polished, but maybe because of the paper or the technology of
Mm.
what he was using at the time, it just wasn't as perfect of
I
a
know.
line.
I know. Bolland did, especially towards the end. He did use very large paper or very large uh, layouts. So some of that ink work may be deceptive, um, but it's wonderful stuff. Something that I did as a kid and as I was growing up and being an artist was, and I think everyone does it to a degree, is looking for perfection. And you look at those artists that you remember as a kid, people like Buscema, people like Bolland, and you look at it and you go, oh my God, that's perfection. I must be perfect. That's the only place I can be. I must aim for perfection. And in the last few years, I've loosened up a lot on my artwork because I've been able to examine those people that I thought were perfect and realize they're not. And the reason that they look so good is because they're not perfect. They've brought their own style, their own personality to their work, and it's a slow evolution of your own work to come to terms with that kind of thing and realize, stop using rulers. No, which is, that's not to say you should never use a ruler. Of course you should, but it's like this. Don't look for the perfect line. Look for the good line. Look for the line that works. Look for the cool. And
Well,
it's taken me a long time.
interesting.
So
Like the flaws are the things that are interesting. Like I say about music, like as soon as they went with like what is it called, click tracks and stuff like that, like in rock music, right? It kind of sterilized the music because if you
yeah,
listen to like old Zeppelin, anything from like the 60s, 70s, there's tempo changes. There's
yeah,
subtle tempo changes, and it's just because it's how they felt. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Like they would just kind of slow down as a band, as a
mm,
unit, and so there would be like this kind of emotion to it. It wasn't perfect,
yeah,
but there was kind of this human element to it. And then as soon as you put everything on a rigid click track, then all of a sudden everything lines up, and then
mm,
everything is perfect, but it also is kind of boring at the same time. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
So those little flaws and things like that are what makes things interesting. And I always thought, like, even with like singers, I don't like crooners. I don't like pretty voices, male or female. I like
yeah,
interesting voices.
yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean? If somebody's got a little flaw, maybe a little gravel in their voice, a little
yeah.
character, a little personality. That's always like what I like. But like you said, like when I was younger, it was always the strive for that perfect line and all of
Perfection.
that.
Yeah.
But also it's good discipline to have
Oh,
because
yeah, yeah,
you
yeah.
know
Because it teaches you the right things to do. I mean,
right.
the point is you look at people like I say, Buscema or Bolland or you know all the great English, particularly the Inca on Fantastic Four. Oh God,
Sinnott?
Sinnott. That's it. God, I had a bit of a mind fog for a second there. Joe Sinnott. Okay, Joe Sinnott's inks, and you think they're perfect. They're perfect, and it's what I tried to do in Only Death Can Save Us when I was still doing things digitally, and I did get some perfect lines in that. And when I got to the end of the first book, although I was very pleased with it, I'd started doing some real ink work as well. And it occurred to me that some of those lines were too good. The digital lines. I'm not putting anyone down who draws digitally or does that. I've done it myself. It's full on. It's an artist's thing. Yeah, it's not
Right.
some trick. It's real art. Okay, but for me personally, I found that those lines were too perfect, which was really weird. After I'd been sort of trying to gain that, and then I went back and looked at more of his work, and he is just a fantastic inker. Um, and I realised that a lot of my interpretation of Buscema's work from early on when I was a kid was because of his inks, and that I was being molded by so many different inspirations, and then to go back and analyze those lines and think, do you know what? Maybe I shouldn't be looking at perfect lines. Maybe I should be looking at brush lines. Like with my hands, a brush line and a pen line. And it's changed my art, but just by having a slightly different approach. And now I don't do
Hey,
anything.
you want
I
to
don't
loosen
ink
up?
digitally at all. Yeah, it loosens you up, and
Yeah,
it
you
gives
want to
more energy.
yeah, you want to get into like just before you start using a brush, if you want to really get that loose, just look at like old Joe Kubert, man. I'll
Oh,
tell you, like that stuff is deceptive. Like you look at it, it looks complete and looks polished, it looks fantastic. But you break down those elements and you realize that dude's drawing with that ink. Like he's just throwing stuff down.
mm,
And there is a part of me, Russ, like when I do commissions and stuff like that, I break out a just a big old thick brush, and I'm not like that controlled Marvel DC guy,
mm,
and I absolutely love it. And
mm.
it still comes out fairly tight because it's my personality, but it
Your
feels like
style.
I'm
Yeah,
just like throwing stuff down. And I would love to kind of reverse engineer my career. You know what I mean? Like to start going like less slick and controlled and start going like just more spontaneous and just throw
yeah,
things down because there is that part. I can do it. You know what I mean? It's not like I can't do it, but it's absolutely weird because as an artist, it's like giving yourself permission to
yeah.
do it. You
It's
know what I mean? Because
confidence.
there's a part of
Yeah.
you that you make a living doing it a certain way, right? So you go, people pay me to do it this way, right?
Yes.
So if
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
doing it that way anymore, it feels kind of disingenuous. It almost feels like too self-indulgent that
Yeah.
nobody's going to pay you to
Yeah.
draw like that.
Yeah, it's like that permission and the confidence of being able to do it.
Yeah.
I go back and watch Cuba inking videos all the time, and he's just laying it down, and it's changed the way I ink. It's absolutely changed the way that I approach inking. And I'm developing all the time. All my ink work is developing all the time. And I'm picking up different tools. I started picking up fountain pens and trying to use fountain pens and seeing how they would work. Different brush types, and it's very fulfilling when you get the right line, when you get the work in the way that you want it to. But it's constantly a work in progress. Your style, to me, is constantly a growth. And hopefully, every time I come to the board, I produce something better than I produced last time I was at the board. That's the aim. So,
Right, right.
yeah, but yeah, qubit syncing is it's astounding. Just the way things just come out.
It doesn't look like it doesn't even look like he's trying. Like
No,
it's just there and it's perfect. Oh, I was thinking about this when we were talking about Bolin and the texture of the line. I just realized they don't do it as much anymore. I'll get your super chat, Crazy Cat, after I make this point. Um, I don't know. I don't know if you're as old as I am, but in the day they had cold press and hot press, Bristol board,
Right.
and so I think it was the cold or hot press. I can't remember which one it was, but one was more toothy.
Right.
So you could do kind of a dry brush effect with it.
Hmm.
And so if Bolin was using, even with that control, like he might have been really trying to be controlled, but with that textured paper, it just
Yeah.
wasn't allowing the coverage
Yeah.
that you would have got if it was like a cold press
Yeah.
slicker paper. And
Yeah.
so maybe some of that was just the paper, because
Yeah.
I do
Yeah.
remember like when I first started and I didn't know the difference. Marvel and DC, they would give you a choice. They go, you could have hot press or cold press. Yeah.
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
so, I tried both, and I liked the cold press better. And the old cold press paper was kind of a hybrid between the more contemporary paper and the hot press texture paper. So there was a little bit of a tooth to it, but you could still do some pretty slick stuff with it. And
Cool.
then I do remember later at Marvel, the 90s, when we were really trying to slicken stuff up, we were putting pressure on them to give us a slicker paper. And so Marvel was giving a slicker paper. And then by the time we got into Image, we were making our own boards.
Yeah.
So we were, because I still have a case of it, Russ. It's beautiful.
Of course.
It's like glass,
Wow.
but to get any kind of soul or any kind of texture, it's not really going to allow that.
Right.
You're gonna get just a slick ass line, and
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. But let
The
me get this
Bristol.
from
Oh,
Crazy
right.
Cat.
Okay.
Thank you, Crazy Cat, for the $4.99 super chat. You are the best. What did Russ think of Vincent D'Onofrio as Robert E. Howard in the movie Whole Wide World, about the end of Howard's life? Howard was a weird dude, but anyways, go ahead.
Right. I'll be honest. I have not seen that film. Randy has, who is the writer on the book. I've not seen it, but I have heard that it's very good. So that's all I can say. Really, I'm honest about it. I could
Because,
go on and on about how great it was, but I haven't seen it. So
but you know a little bit about his life, right? Like,
I know about his life and his very sad demise. Yeah, he died early. He took his own life. Very
took his
close
own
to his
life.
mother. He was a boxer. He was a real fighter, actually.
It's
Him
really
and
weird that he seemed like a mama's boy, but yeah, he was a fighter, and
no, yeah, he
yeah,
was a mama's boy, as in he loved his mum intensely. There was that
but not
odd
like we would.
relationship, but he was
Right.
hard. Yeah, he was a hard man.
Yeah.
Also, he got on really well with who was the Cthulhu writer?
Oh,
Forgotten his
I
name.
know who you're talking about.
I've forgotten his name because I'm old.
Yeah,
I
people in
forget
Chicago
people's
don't
names.
know.
But he got on very well with him, and they used to swap letters quite a lot. He did. I must watch the film. Thank you, Apex. I must watch it. H.P. Lovecraft. That's it. Well done, Crazy Cat. Yeah, him and Lovecraft got on very well, and he was devastated, as far as I understand, when he took his own life. So yeah, he was an interesting guy, and so young.
Yeah, yeah. He got quite a body of work out, great
Yeah, it's so
imagination.
much. Yeah, I mean, his
Yeah.
imagination was huge. I loved
It's
that
weird
Johnny
because
Carter
because
movie.
there
So there you
there
go.
is a side of him I remember early on that he almost seemed like the closeted kind of like nerd, like almost textbook nerd. But then
Mm,
there was this other side of him, and I think it just depends on like what you choose to focus on, I guess, based on your own personality. Because I remember he wasn't it wasn't understood as like he was kind of a tough guy boxer. It was kind of like he was like a shut-in mama's boy that had
mm.
this fantastic imagination. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
legend has it. Yeah. I guess it's just what you choose to believe. I got to see the movie now to see if they
Yeah, I've got to
cover
see it as
all those
well. Yeah.
dynamics. Yeah. But let me get this. Joe Bernardo says, Art, Russ, what did you think of the John
Yeah.
Carter movie? So we're gonna riff easily 10 minutes on this. I
Yeah,
know.
I loved it. Absolutely loved it. I think it was great fun. It was. When was that? Was that 2012 or something like that? Was it?
Early 2000s, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So it
maybe
was. It was back when
2012.
films were good.
The thing is, I thought that they were trying to do too much
Yeah,
because
probably. Yeah.
it's hard because there really isn't the definitive story. So it seemed like they were kind of cherry picking from too much. My mom read those novels. She loved that. My mom
Right.
she was,
Yeah.
you're going to love this, Russ. She read Howard. She read, Verne. She
Oh,
read Burroughs. Like,
wow.
yeah, she read all of that stuff. And
Good
so,
stuff.
yeah, those John Carter, the Warlord of Mars, all that stuff, that was always around the house. So I read a few of those as a kid, and I just remember them just being crazy, crazy cool. But I thought that the movie took a little bit, tried to do too much with it, so it felt a little it didn't feel like there was a good, clear narrative to it. And there was part of the story that I really liked, but it just kind of didn't really get developed, is like the bookend stuff. Because they
Right.
they took it from his world, and then like he staged his death, and there was all that other
Yeah.
stuff. And to be honest, I almost felt like I wanted that to be almost its own movie. Uh,
Yeah, I mean that's inevitable, isn't it? With anybody making films, is they're going to shortcut stuff. Um, my reaction to I stayed away from thinking about the actual books, and as a reaction to just the movie, I thought it was a good, fun movie that deserved a better response because it didn't do well, did it? Um,
no, I
and
think maybe
I
with
I
the
thoroughly
actor
enjoyed it.
too.
I've got it on DVD, so there you go.
Yeah, I do too. I liked the actor, but he's not like a charismatic guy.
No,
He's more
no,
like
not
that, like
particularly. Yeah,
stoic guy,
yeah,
and so I did like it, but I just think for like the masses, maybe he just wasn't, charismatic enough.
yeah,
Um,
maybe. But it was a
and
masses film. It wasn't. It was. It's like Lord of the. Not so much Lord of the Rings. I think they did a pretty good job on Lord of the Rings. They did it over 3 films. They cut some stuff out, but not huge amounts. I mean, if you had the whole Tom Bombadil stuff in at the first film, everybody would have fallen asleep. So they did. I think they did the right things with the Lord of the Rings movies. But they still took 3 films to tell it properly, which was what they should do. But
right,
lots of films cut stuff out in order to get that concept over to the general masses who maybe haven't read the books. And most of the time, it's not done particularly well. I thought they got the the soul of it over. And like I say, purely from a production perspective, it was a good fun thing. So
yeah.
but it's difficult. I mean, like the Conan movie. Okay, the Conan movie is
Oh
actually
my
bits.
God! Don't get me going on you mean the
It,
Arnold movie?
yeah, it's
Oh,
bits of Cull and it's
that
bits of Conan.
it's not
It's
Conan at all. That movie
no,
is
it's
not
not Conan
Conan
at
at
all.
all.
Not purely, but it did have the soul. Do you know what I mean? Personally, I thought it came across well. It had the soul of Conan
You
in
know who
it,
came
even if
across
it
well in
wasn't
that
written
movie
properly.
was Thulsa Doom. Thulsa
Yeah,
Doom was freaking awesome. I
but
think he
he's a
stole
Cull. He's the Serpent King. He's the Cull enemy, and
it. Right.
we can't actually use him, which is kind of why we're off on another trail. We can't use Thulsa Doom,
Yeah.
but we've got a different big bad instead. So it's all good. It's all good.
Well, we should go
But
back.
yeah, I
We should go
I
back to your
liked it.
campaign real quick. So keep going.
And I'm a big fan of that movie just because it has the Conan soul in it. But there are lots of issues.
There's a scene in that, Russ, that I can't get past. It just about ruins the film. It's when Conan's hanging. I got to come back because it's a visual. he's fallen. He's kind of hanging. He's holding himself by his hands, and Thulsa Doom comes up, and I think he starts stepping on his hands or something, or maybe
Yeah.
he's just down on the ground. Maybe he's not hanging. But anyways, Thulsa Doom starts stepping on his hands, and then Arnold's like, yeah, like it really hurts. And I'm
That's a
thinking,
great impersonation.
there's no way, Conan would like, like do that shit. Like he would just get up and fucking kill that guy, you know? Like, yeah,
Come and bite his feet.
yeah. He's like stepping on his hands. It's like, oh, come on. Conan has experienced worse than that. This is ridiculous. But anyway, I did. They got the one where he's on the tree or whatever, and he bites the vulture and stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, there's some cool stuff in there.
Again, that's from a different story, isn't it? It's actually, that is in one of Howard's stories, but not in the same context. So
no, they
yeah.
just cherry pick. But
Yeah.
let's get back into this amazing campaign. Is it the Atlantean? The Atlantean, and you got 79 backers. You're 2,639. Let me refresh, just on the off chance that we got a backer. And if we didn't, what are you waiting for, man? We should have 80 backers, you guys. So right now, the link is in the description. Get over there. Let's get 80 backers before it's all said and done. This is the Atlantean. This is Cull, even though you can't call him Cull, or you do call him Cull.
He's called Cull. He is Cull and Brawl in the book. Yeah, it is. It's full on. It's an adaptation of Robert E. Howard's characters. We just can't call him Cull on the front cover. That's all.
Okay.
Ablaze did that with Conan in Europe, and they called it the Cimmerian. That was the name of the book.
Okay,
but it was all Conan. It was all Conan all the way through. And so we've decided just to take a leaf out of that book and call him the Atlantean, which is what he is. So
exactly, yeah. So you guys, this is fantastic. Russ says he's finishing up the book right now. Here's some of the interior artwork. This is going to be black and white with some killer gray tones. This is all brush ink. So this is traditional on the board stuff. So very few people work like this anymore. So you guys are going to get to witness some really kind of old school techniques here, some really killer stuff. I mean, this page alone, could have embraced the Savage Sword magazine in the day for sure. So right up there with the John Buscema stuff. No shit, dude. And you guys can get some original pages here. So Russ is putting this stuff down, brush to paper, some great gray tones in here. And how much are is your artwork going for? Is this the cover here? Original cover ink.
Yeah, it's the cover ink. So that original. So every issue, you get a painted cover. You get my ink of the cover on the inside front cover, and I do a print of it. But also, it's available to buy the original artwork. So
has this been sold yet?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, you guys, come on! This is a deal and a half. Let's move some artwork. Come on.
But this is this is a rolling thing. Issue 2 has already been started. The script should be on my desk in the next 10 days, and I'll be starting pencils before the end of the month. So it's a definite thing. There's a collection to be had here. You can also get a sketch. There you go. I'll also do a sketch for $90. So a book and a sketch.
Is this sketch on demand, or is it a certain fixed drawing that you do?
Oh no, you can have anything you want.
So I could have black and white?
You could have anything you want.
Sweet. It's only $90, you guys. Russ will draw you a doodle for 90. That's a killer deal. There's these combo deals too, you guys. So you got to get in here, do some of these combos. This right here,
That's
Uh,
that's the Shadow
this one
Kingdom.
here.
Yeah, two for $25 is a pretty good deal, and we're
Yeah,
also providing the Shadow Kingdom for slightly less than we do on Amazon. We're doing it as a hardback, so you can get a hardback version. So
yeah, you guys. There's all kinds of fantastic stuff here. The mods have been putting links in there. Click those links and go to the site, check it out, and then pick up a book, man. Entry level stuff is only $15. This is a 50-page magazine sized book. These are like the old Savage Sword of Conan, magazine stuff. So, and
yeah,
look
I
at
mean,
this.
the
Yeah.
idea is that we increase the readership. I'd like to get to a point where we're somewhere between 500 and 1,000 people, and that's only $10, not 15.
Right.
So that's where we want to go with this. It's a lot. It really is a sort of it's a passion project. We want to get making comics that, magazine comics, whatever, that people can know are going to be. There's going to be a standard. There's going to be a good standard. There's going to be a quality to it, and it's going to continue. It's episodic content that you can rely on.
So you said there's 3 stories worth of adaptation. Like there's going to be 3 of these magazines.
No, the magazines are completely new. They're
Oh, so
they're
you're
our
veering
they're
from the
our
original.
they're our interpretation of Robert E. Howard, staying close to the source material of
Okay.
Cull and Brawl chasing the Serpent Kingdom. There are some memory sections which are lifted from text, but
Okay.
we have to be careful how we name them and what we do with them.
So did you have to get any authorization from
No.
or any rights so you guys could just this is whole cloth
It's
you guys are
yeah,
creating?
completely public domain. We can do what we like with it.
That's awesome. You
As
guys,
long
this
as we're respectful.
and it looks like it is, man. I mean, all the way down to kind of the Savage Sword Marvel magazine stuff. So
Yeah,
you guys are doing the real deal here. The artwork looks fantastic,
thank you.
and we need to get that to 80. Come on, it's one backing, one backer. That's all we need. So then you're going to continue with these as long as you can go, or I thought you
Yeah.
said there's going to be 3 of them.
This is the first one. I plan to do 3 a year. So
Oh,
by
3
the
a
end,
year.
by this time next year, we'll be on issue 4. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, when you lean down like this a little bit, it looks like you have like one of those haircuts that's kind of those bangs and it's curled because the highlight of
No,
the
I have
it's
no
right
hair.
here. My imagination's going crazy. I'm like, look at that hairdo. It looks like some kind of mod 60s Beatle hair.
No. That went ages
Like
ago.
it's all in kind of shadow. You can't really see the definition of it. It's funny. Yeah, I shouldn't talk. Look at my hair. Um,
Oh, you have
but
some. Come on. Lean
I,
into it.
I have a little. Yeah, I'm gonna. If you don't mind, can I kind of share some stuff because
Yeah, it's your show.
yeah, I'm kind of getting down to the wire on Sins of the Father. That's my pre-launch, but I'm going to do the Oodles of Doodles first. So this book is in demand, you guys. This is my art book. Thank you so much for all the backing and all the support. I do appreciate that. Here is the amazing trailer by Shanthan Jetty.
Art T-Bear's Oodles of Doodles and Other Stuff Too is a 60-page, 9x12 hardbound book that will be printed on thick glossy stock paper and is a compilation of artwork from award-winning artist, Art T-Bear. This book is filled with images that come from Art's Marvel, DC, Image, and Comicsgate work. That includes convention doodles, commissions, creator-owned IPs, and pop culture subjects that Art has brought to life with his masterful draftsmanship. Art T-Bear's signature style is both lyrical and meticulously realized. The mastery of craft, seen in his work, owes itself to his 40 years in the comic industry, as well as viewing life through his own love of the art form itself. Fans of art prints have the opportunity to back one or both of the mini print tiers. Both are stunning collections of work that you can back individually or together as a bundle. Art T-Bear's Oodles of Doodles and Other Stuff Too. Back it now on Indiegogo.
Do it now.
Good.
Yeah,
No.
do it now. This is the art book. It is a 64-page book, and we added a few pages. It started off as 60, now it is 64 pages due to the stretch goal that was met. And I want to talk about the prints for a little bit. I talked to the printer yesterday. This book is at the printers, by the way, you guys. We're just hammering out some of the details. It's a pretty complex book, so it's hardbound. It's I don't know how they saddle stitch it together. It's got a spine. There's a lot of moving parts to the book. There's fly leaves. There's a lot of details. So we're hammering out the details. We pretty much have the book down, but one of the things we've been talking about is doing an enhancement for these prints. So I have this gold outline like on this pit, and where are the other ones? And on like set A and set B, there's this little border. And I always wanted to do it as like a gold embossed, but I wasn't sure that we could swing it with the campaign. But because of the enhancements, there's a lot of things that we want to do with these campaigns that we can't just because of the financial aspects. But we did pretty good, and I'm working really close with the printer, and she got me a pretty good price on this. So we are going to have the gold embossed borders around the artwork. So they're going to look gorgeous. They're going to be printed on high quality, top of line paper, and they're going to have that gold kind of leaf stamping around these images. So these are suitable for framing. They're 8.5 by 11. If you got your comic book man cave, whatever, I think these things will look fantastic in there. And so the book takes a month to print. She said 20 to 28 days. So November will be our print month. So we should be getting the book back late November. And so we do have, I think it's under 200 backers. So Pamela's used to like 1,500 or whatever. So we should be able to fulfill this relatively quick. So don't hold me to it, but we should be able to get this out to you before Christmas. So if there's any comic book fans out there that that like behind the scenes stuff, high quality artwork, you could back this and get it to them for Christmas. So there's a lot of cool tiers to back. There's a lot of interesting artwork here. The back cover is going to have this quote from Kevin Nolan here. So it fit in perfectly to the back of the cover. And I just everything about this book is quality. So you're going to get this a cool jam between myself, my pencils, Kevin Nolan's inks, and just a lot of unexpected stuff, a lot of more illustrative things, some of my animation pitches that I did in the day for Warner Brothers and Disney. And then, of course, create your own stuff like black and white. So we got this beautiful image of white with an alternative costume, like a suit. So this has not been featured anywhere except for this piece of artwork here. So it's kind of a one-off suit design as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff here, you guys. Link is in the description. So click that link if you like what you see. Back it today. As in the Atlantean as well, we have Past Master putting links into the description. So just click those. It couldn't be easier. And go and back these books. And I do want to say we got Black and White Volume 3, Sins of the Father. It is pre-launch sign-up time, you guys. So I think we got 2 weeks, under 2 weeks before we go live. I am so nervous. I have so much work to do to get this damn campaign up and running. And I'm working with a lot of different vendors. So I'm crossing my fingers that I'll get all that stuff back. And I need to put a video together, but I don't have all the artwork yet. So everything's going to go down to the last minute on that. But the Black and White Volume 3, Sins of the Father, The link is in the description as well. So click that, go sign up, doesn't cost you any money, and you'll be eligible with the backing to get a Juju 30th anniversary trading card. And I'm going to show you something just to get your just a little teaser here for volume 3. So this is work in progress. So this is the pencils and some of the inks here for volume 2.
Wow.
Yeah. So this will be the variant cover, and it's almost done. I have to draw a castle, so I'm kind of getting into some of the Conan aspects. So there's going to be this is going to be high tech. So we're still going to have a lot of robot slaughtering in black and white volume 3, but we're going to have we're going to fully embrace the supernatural. So there's going to be an ancient evil in this. It's not going to have time travel, but there is going to be an ancient villain in this. And this is the character here. His name's Lord Fakin. He has a crown. You see the drawing here. You can't see all the pencils. My wife said, you got to change the crown. It looks like Jughead's hat. So it has been changed, you guys. I think it's good to have a critic usually around the studio. So usually it's your wife. So she's pretty good at seeing the mistakes. So yeah, this is work in progress. I have this done by the end of the day, and then we'll go out to the great Kyle Ritter, who I do think is the best colorist in the business right now. So he loves my work for some reason. I am very, very happy about that. And so he always makes time for me, and I do appreciate that, Kyle. So thank you. And speaking of Kyle, this is his color. So this is the main cover here.
Wow.
Oh, thanks.
That wanted to gorgeous.
I wanted to do something with lava. So it's basically they're in a lava cave. So I'm kind of going old school kind of villain's lair, you know. With giant robots and middle like an island with volcanic caverns and the opening of Sins of the Father. And yeah, so this is Kyle Ritter's colors. Look at this. Yeah,
he does such great work.
Hey, you're not going to get any better than this guy. And so another reason is Sins of the Father, this typeface, all this stuff, this was designed by Joe Bernardo. So thank you, Joe Bernardo. I had no idea. I was just taking a chance. I was thinking, like, let's see if Joe can do some of these typeface because I can't. And I've been wanting to drop some of these titles into the books, but just limited time and then just limited skills on my part. So it was awesome. Like Joe just stepped up and nailed this Sins of the Father. And also it was kind of a jam, but Joe and I put together not this corner symbol box, but so this is all me with Brian's help, the color.
Great.
But this one is the finished product here. So this is with Joe's help. So the corner box here, I've been wanting to do a corner box. I noticed you got one on the Atlantean. They're just kind of cool, like stuff that we liked as a kid, you know.
Yeah, definitely. It's just a callback to those things that you loved.
Yeah. So this is kind of a jam between Joe and I. And so I'm rebranding Hack Shack Studios into Hack Shack Comics. I thought it'd be more fitting. Just stuff I've been wanting to do, but just haven't really made the time or had the time to do it. And then we got the High Octane 2 typeface here for the title. And so this is going to be drawn by the great artist, Pedro Ang. So Pedro does this great kind of like cartoon, like animation style for the characters. And I fell in love with him. So he gave me a rough layout for this cover. And so this is me trying to do my tribute to Pedro. So these are my inks, but this is Pedro's design. And actually, Pedro did the background. That's Pedro's art. So
Pedro's
yeah,
great.
yeah, he's a good guy. He's a brilliant artist. So he's also taken on writing duties on this. So the high octane, we did a volume 1 in the last campaign. So due to popular demand, we're bringing it back. Who are us to not give the people what they want?
I'll
So
always give the people what they want.
exactly, you got to, unless you're Marvel and DC. But
Yeah.
yeah, so
What are you going to do?
yeah, what are you going to do? This is High Octane 2. So we're going to continue these one and done 22-page adventures. These are also, the buy-in is less. And these are definitely all ages. I would say all the black and white books are all ages, but this one is really all ages. So if you have younger kids, sometimes they like the more like cartoon style drawings and things like that, Disney-esque. So that's what you're going to get with this high octane book. So
I think the books in general have that kind of old school Fantastic Four Avengers kind of vibe, where they are all ages. They're just excellent adventures, and you can throw yourself into them. They're great books.
the black and white stuff.
Your stuff, yeah. Just brilliant
yeah.
book, absolutely brilliant books. It's just really enjoyable read.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I didn't want any like overly angsty,
No,
characters and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, Russ, like between 94, the original release of Black and White, and the current stuff, I had probably two almost completely different versions
Hmm.
of the story. Like I had been working in my spare time, over that 15
Yeah.
years or whatever it was. And then, Hack Track Studios, I used to run a studio. We had like 4 or 5 guys in here. And I let my assistant, she wanted to read it and wanted to see what all this 94 stuff was all about. I gave her the original miniseries and she read it and she said, it's awesome. And you can tell when people are blowing smoke up your ass, right? And when people are sincere. And I've known her for years. And so when she said it, it wasn't bullshitty. It wasn't like you're my boss and I'm going to be nice to you. And then I said, and this is how you always can tell, like this is how you weed out the Kamala Harrises in the world, is you keep asking them questions, right? You keep asking them questions because they'll say some bullshit answer, right? And then you can get to the truth by just kind of keep asking them stuff, right?
Yeah.
And so then you can tell the sincerity and the honesty of their take on things. And she kept talking. And then I was like, I have these other versions. Could you read those over? And she did. And then she said, I don't like those as much. And I said, why? And then she said, you captured something. Like there's something in this 94 stuff. Like it's like simple. It's a straightforward story. It's just good, clean action adventure, stuff like that. And she said this other stuff is a little bit more complicated. It's a little bit more, cynical, stuff like that. And so she said, I think you should do something in this vein. So like, this is information I could have used 15 years ago instead of developing all this stuff, right? Like if I had met her earlier on, And so she kind of convinced me of it. And so then I said, okay, well, let's write the new stuff together with this sensibility that you say that you like. And she freaking nailed it. She understood it. And that's the version that you worked on. So she didn't write that with me. That was Joe Fulton, but it was definitely based on conversations I had with her. And so it was a continuation of volume 1, which was Taylor Grosso and myself. But it's weird how like we overcomplicate things in our head and just think like, well, that was then, I can do better stuff now, all that. And then you realize that, well, you kind of had lightning in a bottle and it's kind of your personality and how you are. And it's just kind of it's just you're putting who you are into the work. And one of the
Mm.
things is being an indie creator like we are, is that's our voice is everything. Because we're
Yeah.
not corporate guys. We don't have like corporate IP behind us. We don't have all that stuff. So all we have is our personal take, our voice, our originality.
Yeah.
So you
Yeah.
have to embrace that. And so that's what I did.
Well
Yeah.
done. Well, it worked. So it's good.
Well, thank you, and thanks to everybody that supported it. And sorry, I didn't mean to make this about me.
No,
I
no,
really,
no. It's your stream, mate.
yeah, but I
Don't
like
worry
to
about it.
focus on on Hacks Chat. Like we do interview, but we also promote the new
Yeah.
campaigns. And so I do think we succeeded. I think people know a little bit more about you, Russ, and they know about the project, and it looks gorgeous.
Thank
And
you.
you're one of the good guys. You're one of the good guys in the industry. You do it because you love it,
Yes,
and
definitely.
fortunately, you make enough money to squeak by. But that's no
Squeak.
excuse, you guys. Yes, squeak, exactly.
Squeak. I just squeak by. But yeah,
Squeak, right.
this is definitely a passion project. This is something I've been gearing up to my whole life, as far as I'm concerned. I've got to that point where now this is a legacy. I want to do multiple issues. I don't just want to do 4. I want to do 40. Okay, so this is something I'm putting my whole heart and soul into, and it's a long term. If I only get if we only get 100 backers this time, hopefully, fingers crossed. We got 220 for the Shadow Kingdom, so it would be lovely to get to match that. But I understand it's a brand new thing again. People see it slightly differently. It's black and white as well. Not everybody's enticed by black and white, but the idea is we only get 100 this time. By the time we get to issue 5, maybe we'll have 1,000. Yeah, it's a build up. It's a slow build up, and to convince people we're here to stay. It's a
Right.
quality product that will be consistent, and you can rely on it, which is something that seems to have vanished from a big chunk of the industry. So
Yeah,
that's what
and
we're trying to do.
it's high end stuff. It's high end stuff. And the original book, did you launch that through Fund My Comic, or did you go through Indiegogo?
We went through Fund My Comic. We'll be doing this in volumes, so we may end up doing an omnibus at some point. At that point, we may go to Indiegogo, maybe the pink site. I don't know, but we'll definitely look at other options on that. But in the meantime, stuff like Cull, the Shadow Kingdom, you can pick that up on Amazon, or you can go directly to Critical Blast's own website and pick it up there. We actually get paid a little bit more if you go that route rather than Amazon. But obviously, if you go to Amazon and you've got Prime, you get free postage. And they do some great options there. There's a $10 one which is just black and white. They do a digest size one as well, which is really quite affordable. So if you want to pick up those there, that's the place to go.
Yeah, but you really should. The Atlantean, there's cool extras. There's artwork, original artwork.
Yeah.
There's prints.
You only get that from a crowdfunder. You don't get that from
Exactly.
Amazon and Barnes and Noble. Also, every time we do a book on crowdfunding, it will be a unique print run. So there'll be something in the book, in the crowdfunding version, that will not be in it when it hits retail. So that's
Right.
what it's something special for those people that do back you, that do put some faith in you and give you their money. It's like, right, well, you've got something that might only be 100, 200 print run and never be repeated. So.
Right. Exactly. So they're more custom. They're more one of a kind type thing. Oh yeah, baby. Okay, wait. We got some good news. We're going out on a high note here. Let's do this screen share. Boom, baby. We got it. We got that 80 backers. Yeah. So we're 20 away from 100. So now I'm going to ask you guys get 20 backers in here before day's end.
Do you know what's really important is word of mouth. Just get it out there. Let people know that there are people like Art and myself that are making great content for people that I mean, obviously you'll be the the judge on whether my content is great. But obviously, arts is fabulous. Whatever. Tell people about it. Buy books. Buy good comic books. Give them away as gifts. Let people know that they're out there. They're an art form. They're the best storytelling medium ever. They're better than film, and they're better than novels. Okay, they just are. So make sure everybody knows about them.
I agree. I committed my entire adult life to them. Actually, even my childhood to them. So I agree wholeheartedly. And so, yeah, let's keep the backing going. There are some of my mods have been dropping the links in the chat,
Thank you.
and they are in the description as well. So you can get the Atlantean link. Click that. Come by, back a book. You guys get Russ to draw. He doesn't work hard enough. There's a tier here where he'll draw any character that you want. So, get this guy off his lazy butt and get him to, pick up a pencil and do something for a change. I just refreshed and the screen went away. Oh, there we go. My computer's working slow. My computer's always slow. Okay, you guys. So we went out on a high note. So if somebody in the live stream backed it, thank you so very much.
You.
Let's keep this going. And like Russ said, we got guerrilla marketing going here. So get that link, share it out with your friends, your neighbors, all that stuff. Get the word out. Russ is one of the good guys. He does this because he loves it. And so we are very, very humble. Artists, comic book artists are very, very humble. So any support, it always does help. But mainly, don't do it because of, you feel bad for us. Do it because you genuinely want to be entertained by something that we're putting together. Because I don't want a pity buy.
No. Buy it because you want it. Yeah.
All right, man. Hey, you know what? We got to do this more often, Russ. You're an easy guy to hang with, and I do really appreciate your talent. I appreciate your voice in this indie market, and you take care. And we'll see you guys soon. So just remember, at the end of this month, let me see real quick. It'll be the 28th or the 29th. I'm not sure if I'm going to launch Volume 3 Black and White on the King Show or on the Bros Show, because the 29th I'm hosting the Bros. So I wanted to get this too. I'm sorry, Torchbearer. I saw this. Just resend the samples to your Hack Shack email. Yes, thank you, and I apologize for not getting back to you. There are just a million little things putting this campaign together. So the smaller stuff is going the wayside. So I will get back to you. If I don't get back to you like recently, it will be after the campaign launches, when I actually have taken care of a lot of these flyers, put them out. I know Russ knows, like you got every day you got like maybe 3 main flyers, and then as the day progresses, there's like 4 or 5 more that kind of flare up that you got to put out. But anyway, we'll see you guys later. Have a wonderful weekend. I know that's coming up, and I will talk to you soon.
Thanks for having me on.